1990p Washington quarter dollar. Have you ever wondered if one of the ordinary quarters hiding in your wallet could actually be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? Most people never think twice before spending a quarter. They use it for parking meters, vending machines, or simply toss it into a jar at home. But what if one of those seemingly ordinary coins turned out to be a collector's dream? Across the United States, thousands of coin hunters search through rolls of quarters every single day because they know that rare treasures can still be found in everyday pocket change. Some valuable coins aren't ancient, made of gold, or extremely rare in mintage. They're simply coins that survived in extraordinary condition or were struck with unusual minting errors. Today, we're taking a closer look at one such coin, the 1990p Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter, but hidden behind its familiar design is a fascinating story that every collector should know. Before you spend your next quarter, make sure you watch until the very end because one small detail could make all the difference. The 1990p Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historic minting facilities in the United States. For many years, Philadelphia quarters carried no mint mark, but by 1990 the mint proudly placed a small P mint mark on the obverse of the coin, just to the right of George Washington's ponytail. This small letter identifies where the coin was produced and is one of the first things collectors examine when evaluating any Washington quarter. The obverse features the timeless portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan. His profile has become one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. On the reverse, collectors find the classic heraldic eagle with its wings spread wide, perched proudly on a bundle of arrows while olive branches symbolize peace. This iconic reverse design remained in use for decades before being replaced by the state quarters program in 1999, making the 1990 issue part of the final generation of the traditional Washington quarter series. During 1990, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Washington quarters. Because of this large production, the vast majority of 1990p quarters remain common today. Most examples that have circulated for years show worn details, scratches, dull surfaces, and countless small marks from everyday use. These circulated coins usually remain worth only their face value of 25 cents. However, experienced collectors know that a coin's story does not end with its mintage numbers. Condition, eye appeal, strike quality, rarity in top grades, and mint errors can transform an ordinary quarter into a highly desirable collectible. One of the most important factors affecting value is the quality of preservation. Coins that entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint often developed scratches, contact marks, and worn details within months. By contrast, coins that were carefully saved from the day they were issued retained their brilliant mint luster and sharp design details. These uncirculated examples are much scarcer than most people realize because very few survive in nearly perfect condition after decades. Professional grading services use the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70, to determine a coin's condition. A coin graded MS-60 is considered uncirculated but may still have noticeable imperfections. As grades rise to MS-64, MS-65, MS-66, and beyond, coins become increasingly attractive and much more difficult to locate. Every tiny mark, hairline scratch, or weakness in the strike can affect the final grade. This is why collectors carefully inspect every surface under magnification before determining a coin's quality. For the 1990p Washington quarter, coins in average mint state grades are generally affordable. However, examples certified as the highest levels, such as MS-67 or better, become surprisingly scarce. Registry set collectors compete for these elite quality coins because they want the finest examples available for their collections. As a result, auction prices for top-graded pieces have reached several $100s, and exceptional examples with remarkable eye appeal have sold for well over $1,000. This dramatic increase in value shows that condition can be just as important as rarity. Another reason collectors search through rolls of quarters is the possibility of finding mint errors. Mint errors occur during the production process when something unexpected happens before or during the striking of the coin. Because these mistakes are accidental, they often become highly collectible. One popular error is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank blanket is not positioned correctly beneath the dies before the coin is struck. Depending on how much of the design is missing while the date remains visible, these coins can command significant premiums. Another collectible error is the broad strike, where the retaining collar fails to hold the coin during striking, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal diameter. These unusual coins immediately catch the attention of experienced collectors. Collectors also look for clipped blank case. This error occurs before striking when the blank is improperly cut from the metal strip, leaving part of the finished coin missing. Genuine clipped blank case display distinctive characteristics that experts use to separate them from damaged coins. Because these pieces are produced accidentally at the mint, they are often worth far more than ordinary quarters. Die cracks and die chips are also fascinating mint varieties. Steel dies endure tremendous pressure while striking millions of coins, eventually developing cracks or small broken sections. These flaws transfer onto the coins as raised lines or bumps. Although many die cracks are minor, dramatic examples can attract collector interest and sometimes bring healthy premiums depending on their appearance. Some collectors spend hours examining lettering, dates, and design elements for signs of doubling. A double die variety occurs during the creation of the coin die rather than during the striking process. While the 1990p Washington quarter does not feature a famous major double die variety like some legendary American coins, minor doubled features can still attract attention and may carry added value when verified by experts. Another feature that collectors admire is a strong, fully struck design. Even though millions of quarters were produced, not every coin was struck with the same amount of pressure. Some examples display weak details in Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers, while others exhibit exceptionally crisp features across the entire coin. Strong strikes combined with blazing original luster create outstanding eye appeal and significantly increase collector demand. One mistake many beginners make is cleaning their coins. A shiny coin may appear more attractive to an untrained eye, but cleaning usually causes microscopic scratches that permanently damage the original surface. Professional collectors strongly prefer coins that retain their natural finish, even if they have toned slightly over time. Original surfaces are considered a sign of authenticity and proper preservation. If you discover a 1990p Washington quarter that appears unusually sharp, brilliant, or free from heavy marks, it is best to handle it only by the edges. Place it inside a protective holder to prevent fingerprints or additional damage. If the coin appears exceptional or displays an obvious mint error, submitting it to a professional grading service may help determine its authenticity and condition while increasing buyer confidence should you ever decide to sell it. The 1990p quarter also represents an interesting period in modern American coinage. Less than a decade later, the United States Mint introduced the famous 50-state quarters program, completely changing the appearance of the reverse design and inspiring millions of new collectors across the country. Because of this transition, many collectors appreciate the earlier Eagle reverse quarters as the closing chapter of the original Washington quarter series. Coin roll hunting has become one of the fastest-growing hobbies among collectors. People purchase boxes of bankrupt quarters and carefully inspect every coin, hoping to discover high-grade examples, mint errors, silver coins accidentally mixed into circulation, or overlooked treasures. Although most searches uncover only ordinary coins, the excitement comes from knowing that every roll offers another chance to make an unexpected discovery. Auction history proves that outstanding quality continues to drive collector demand. While a worn 1990p quarter is usually worth only 25 cents, superb certified examples with exceptional grades and beautiful eye appeal have realized impressive prices. This reminds collectors that preserving coins properly can make an enormous difference over time. If you have old jars filled with spare change, inherited coin collections, or forgotten rolls tucked away in a drawer. Take a closer look at every 1990p Washington quarter you find. Examine the mint mark, inspect the surfaces under bright lighting, and watch carefully for unusual features such as doubling, off-center strikes, clipped plan case, die cracks, or exceptional mint luster. The smallest detail could separate an ordinary quarter from a valuable collectible. The 1990p Washington quarter dollar teaches an important lesson in coin collecting. A coin does not need to be centuries old or made from precious metal to become valuable. Sometimes, all it takes is extraordinary preservation, a rare mint terror, or an outstanding certified grade. Hidden among millions of common quarters are few remarkable survivors that continue to impress collectors around the world. The next time someone hands you a quarter and change, don't rush to spend it. Take a moment to inspect it carefully, because that ordinary-looking 1990p Washington quarter could be the hidden treasure that every coin hunter dreams of finding. For dedicated collectors, every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story is worth far more than just 25 cents. If you'd like, I can also write the next Washington quarter script in the exact same style and length for your hardest penny channel. Here's a complete script in the exact format you requested, one coin only, approximately 1,200 words, a strong introduction, written in one continuous part, with no sections or subheadings except the coin title in La Coin's world. 1998p Washington quarter dollar. Imagine reaching into your pocket after buying a cup of coffee and pulling out a simple quarter that most people wouldn't even look at twice. You might spend it without a second thought, but what if that ordinary-looking coin was actually worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? It may sound impossible, yet stories like this have inspired countless collectors to search through pocket change, old jars, inherited coin collections, and bank rolls every single day. Some of the most exciting discoveries in coin collecting have come from coins that millions of people handled without realizing their true value. Today, we're taking a close look at one of those fascinating coins of the 1998p Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it appears to be just another everyday quarter, but once you understand its history, condition, rarity, and the mint terrors collectors search for, you'll never look at this coin the same way again. Stay with me until the end, because one small detail on your own 1998p quarter could make all the difference. The 1998p Washington quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historic minting facilities in the United States. Unlike older Philadelphia quarters that carried no mint mark, this coin proudly displays a small P mint mark on the obverse, located just to the right of George Washington's ponytail. That tiny letter immediately tells collectors where the coin was struck and is always one of the first details examined during an inspection. The obverse of the coin features the classic portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan. Since its introduction in 1932, this design has become one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Surrounding Washington are the familiar inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date 1998. On the reverse, collectors see the traditional heraldic eagle standing proudly with its wings spread above a bundle of arrows, framed by olive branches that symbolize peace. This iconic reverse design had represented the Washington quarter for decades, and 1998 marked the final full year before the famous 50-state quarters program completely transformed the reverse beginning in 1999. Because of this, many collectors view the 1998 issue as one of the last representatives of the original Washington quarter series. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of 1998p Washington quarters, making the coin common in everyday circulation. Because of this enormous production, worn examples are still easy to find today and usually carry only their face value of 25 cents. Most circulated coins have spent years moving through cash registers, vending machines, pockets, and coin jars. During that time they developed scratches, worn details, dull surfaces, and countless contact marks. These ordinary examples are plentiful, But collectors know that mintage alone never tells the entire story. The true value of any modern coin often depends on its condition. Coins that escaped circulation immediately after leaving the mint are known as uncirculated examples. These pieces still display their original mint luster, crisp design details, and fresh surfaces. However, even uncirculated coins can vary dramatically in quality because they often received small marks while being transported in large mint bags. Every tiny nick or scratch matters when determining value. Professional grading services evaluate coins using the Sheldon scale, assigning numerical grades from 1 through 70. A mint state 60 coin is technically uncirculated, but it may still show numerous contact marks. As grades climb through MS64, MS65, MS66, and MS67, coins become increasingly attractive and significantly more difficult to locate. The difference between an MS66 coin and an MS67 coin may seem minor to a beginner, but experienced collectors recognize that those tiny differences can dramatically affect market value. The 1998p Washington quarter is a perfect example of this principle. Average uncirculated examples generally sell for only modest premiums above face value. However, coins certified in superb condition, especially those graded MS67 or higher, become much scarcer. Registry set collectors compete intensely for these top-quality pieces because they seek the finest certified examples available. As demand increases and supply remains limited, auction prices can climb into the hundreds of dollars. In exceptional cases, nearly flawless examples with outstanding eye appeal have realized even stronger prices, proving that preservation is one of the most important factors in modern coin collecting. Another reason collectors search through countless rolls of quarters is the possibility of finding mint errors. Mint errors occur when something unexpected happens during the manufacturing process, producing coins that differ from normal examples. Since these mistakes are accidental, they often attract significant attention within the collecting community. One of the best-known mint errors is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank plankette is not properly aligned beneath the dies before striking. Part of the design may be missing, creating a dramatic appearance. The value often depends on how far off-center the strike is while still leaving the date visible. Another fascinating error is the broad strike. In this case, the retaining collar fails to hold the coin during striking, allowing the metal to spread outward beyond its normal size. These unusual pieces are immediately recognizable and are highly collectible. Collectors also search for clipped plankette, an error created before striking when the blank is improperly punched from the metal strip. A genuine clipped plankette displays a curved section missing from the edge and often exhibits characteristics that experts use to confirm authenticity. Depending on the size and appearance of the clip, these coins can bring substantial premiums. Die cracks are another interesting variety. Steel dies strike millions of coins before eventually developing tiny fractures. These cracks transfer onto coins as raised lines across different parts of the design. While small die cracks are relatively common, larger and more dramatic examples can become desirable collectibles. Similarly, die chips occur when small pieces of the die break away, creating raised bumps on the finished coin. Collectors also inspect every letter and number for evidence of doubling. A double die is created during the manufacturing of the die itself rather than during the striking of the coin. Although the 1998p Washington quarter does not have a widely recognized major double die variety comparable to some famous United States coins, minor doubled features occasionally appear and are carefully studied by specialists. Even small varieties can generate interest among collectors who enjoy searching for unusual die characteristics. Strike quality is another important consideration. Not every quarter receives exactly the same striking pressure during production. Some examples show weaker details in Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers, while others display exceptionally sharp features across both sides of the coin. A fully struck quarter with blazing original luster and minimal contact marks stands out immediately among ordinary examples and attracts greater collector attention. One of the biggest mistakes made by beginners is cleaning coins. Many people believe that making a coin shine will increase its value, but experienced collectors know the opposite is usually true. Cleaning removes the original surface and often leaves microscopic scratches that permanently reduce collector appeal. Original, untouched surfaces are almost always preferred because they preserve the coin's authenticity and natural appearance. If you discover a particularly attractive 1998p Washington quarter, avoid touching the surfaces with your fingers. Hold the coin only by its edges and place it inside a protective holder to prevent damage. If the coin appears exceptionally well preserved or displays a significant mint error, having it authenticated and graded by a respected third-party grading service can provide confidence for both collectors and potential buyers. The year 1998 occupies a unique place in the history of the Washington Quarter series. It was the final complete year before the launch of the immensely successful 50-state quarters program in 1999. That groundbreaking series introduced a new reverse design for each state and inspired millions of Americans to begin collecting coins. Because of this historic transition, many collectors enjoy assembling complete sets of the traditional Eagle reverse quarters, and the 1998p issue represents the closing chapter of that long-running design. Coin roll hunting has become increasingly popular because modern treasures can still be discovered. Collectors purchase rolls or entire boxes of quarters from banks and carefully inspect every coin. While most coins found are ordinary circulated examples, the excitement comes from the possibility of finding a high-grade survivor, an overlooked mint error, or another unusual variety that escaped notice for years. Auction results continue to demonstrate how strongly condition influences value. A heavily worn 1998p Washington quarter generally remains worth only 25 cents. Yet a beautifully preserved certified example with an elite mint state grade can command hundreds of dollars from determined collectors. This enormous price difference reminds us that rarity is often created not by low mintage, but by exceptional preservation. If you have jars of spare change, old coin albums, or forgotten bank rolls stored at home, take a careful look at every 1998p Washington quarter you find. Examine the mint mark, inspect the edges, study the lettering, and look closely for unusual features such as die cracks, double details, clipped plan case, broad strikes, or off-center strikes. Even the smallest detail could separate an ordinary quarter from a valuable collectible. The 1998p Washington quarter dollar proves that extraordinary discoveries can still be hiding in everyday places. It reminds collectors that patience, careful observation, and knowledge are often more valuable than luck. Although millions of those quarters were produced, only a tiny number survive in exceptional condition or with desirable mint errors. Those are the coins that capture the attention of serious collectors and sometimes sell for remarkable prices. So the next time a quarter lands in your hand, don't rush to spend it. Take a closer look, because that ordinary-looking 1998p Washington quarter could become one of the most exciting finds in your collection. On the Hardest Penny channel, every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth far more than 25 cents.